You've just accessed Hardware is Forever, your source for the expert insights, ideas, and innovations you need to do more in the electronics manufacturing industry. From optimization to operations, join us as we put the pieces together for a better approach to manufacturing. Let's go.
Welcome back to Hardware is Forever. I'm Chris Bintliff. Jay Patel is the CEO at Amtech. And as always, he is helping us to understand some of these interesting aspects of business in general, the theater of life, the theater of business, as Jay has put it. Today, we're talking about Principle 11 of points of Deming's 14 points of management. And I think this one is interesting, and I'm excited to dig into it with you, Jay. It's eliminate numerical quotas for the workforce and numerical goals for management. So right away, so my sales team shouldn't have a quota. So my production team shouldn't have. How do I measure? But wait, what are the KPIs then? So what do you think he means, and why is this so important that we want it, that Deming suggests we eliminate it? Take it out. Do something different. What's the problem with quotas?
I think, when you're talking about an organization that wants to be quality oriented, it can't be quantity oriented or numerically oriented. And the reason why that is because you just got to fundamentally think, why is there a word such as quality? If quality wasn't needed, then we would just have quantity and we'd have metrics, but there is a word called quality. And I think a lot of these things is that ultimately we want things that are nice. We want things that work. We want things that are built, and we do things with the expectations that it does something. And that's where quality is. We can create a million screws, but if they don't do what they're supposed to do, if they don't thread in properly, then what's the use of those screws? So I think a lot of it goes back to, we got to keep quality of service, quality of product, quality of fulfilling the customer requirement first, and then work on numerical goals and quotas. And we have to understand that these metrics help us measure quality and not necessarily anything else. So even when we talk about, on a financial term, we need to talk about our revenue and our gross margins and our overhead, all those type of things. Those things help us understand the ratios of what a good organization needs and requires to provide quality work. Now, if our gross margins are too high, we're maybe missing out on something. If our gross margins are too low and you've earned it, great. If your gross margins are too low, then we got to figure out, are we going to be in business to be able to sustainably support our customers? If our overhead is too high or overhead is too low, are we able to give the best quality product or service and support to our customers, or are we overstressing the people that we have right now? All these things lead back to understanding whether we're driving quality internally and out the door or not.
How do we measure that? Because it's really easy to count how many screws came off the assembly line. And if Jay, are you doing what's expected of you today? I can see here that you've got 300 and your quota is 400. And now you just start spitting out whatever because your goal is just, as you said, that quantity thing. But how do I as a leader measure quality? So it's not just how many phone calls did you make, but how many really good phone calls did you make? And flip side of that, am I willing to see fewer or smaller quantity in order to see more quality? Because that's scary for a lot of us.
So I think you have, and one of the things that Deming says is your work standards are based on process capability studies. So it's just not like, in the air, you're putting your finger up and measuring the wind. It is, you're actually saying, okay, this process, if we do it like this, this is the result that we should be getting. So whether, we can get 1 million screws, but the process is not capable of that right now. If we want to get 1 million screws in a week, we need to change our process. So then we get high yield, we have repeatability, and we have the product that our customer wants. Right now, our process is not capable of that. How do we change our process? How do we upgrade our process? Same thing with cold calling, or on the marketing side, lead gen side, is our process capable of generating quality leads? Because we all know in sales, and that, and we're talking about doing all these type of things, the number of leads don't matter. it's the quality of leads that you can take down the sales funnel and the sales cycle that help us grow our organization and add value to other organizations. So the quantity of leads don't matter. It is the quality of leads. And how do we get quality of leads? Is if we generate a process that is capable of doing that. So when we receive, we want quality. And we need to make sure that when we give quality as well.
As ever, I feel like there's a huge component of this that is a cultural thing. Like, are we an organization that values quality, and therefore we've defined what it is for us, or we're willing to continue to revisit the definition of what it is for us, or are we an organization that values quantity? And I think a lot of organizations want to say, oh no, quality is job one, but they don't have any infrastructure to back that up, but they've got all kinds of infrastructure to back up. Did you make X amount of calls, or get X amount of leads, or X amount of views, or make X amount of screws? How do we, and that falls on leadership. Where do you see that culturally? Do you agree that that's a cultural thing? And how do you as a leader try to instill that?
So as a leader, it's really difficult because if we don't ship, we don't get paid. And when you're going through some stressful times at your organization, whether it's cash flow, profit, inventory, whatever it may be, or we're not being able to deliver on time, a lot of things get put on the wayside. And I think that's where we talk about this numerical quotas, is those things should not be driving it, because if it does drive it, and we compromise on quality, it's gonna cost more money to fix it in the long term. We ship product out, the product doesn't meet the quality, comes back in, we have to fix it. So not only are we not creating product right now that we can ship to get paid on, we're having to stop that, fix it, or take scrap, and then our whole delivery schedule gets pushed back even more. So focusing on quality ultimately is the fastest way and most effective way to generate wealth. It is not at all just by shipping, no matter what.
Wow, that's an interesting point of view. And I feel like it is, how do I instill that in the leadership of my organization? I make jokes a lot that I don't see a lot of marketing pros, storytellers become the CEO, but I see a lot of VPs of sales become the CEO, because they can point to a track record of whatever, but then every nail needs this particular kind of hammer, where we're going to elevate this kind of KPI or that kind of quota. So how do you shape leadership so that quality, because it's really easy if I've come through the ranks of being a person who, well, I've always just counted the widgets and however many widgets, and I'm an award winner at getting more widgets out the door. How do I shift the mindset of my leadership so that they are quality minded and therefore can instill that in my teams?
I don't know. I know you have to get the right person in the right seat, and you have to surround yourself by it. I don't think, if we could have figured out how to change people, we would have done it by now. We'd be living in a utopia. But I think sometimes you just got to get yourself surrounded by like-minded people, and to do that, you have to attract them. And you got to create that organization that attracts people who are quality minded and quality oriented. And how they get that quality mindedness and quality orientation, I don't know. Some people are born with it. Some people learn the hard way. Some people's mother or father talk to them over the kitchen table about the value of quality and why it's important. Like, I don't know how it's there, but once it's there, you want to be able to, the leadership wants to be able to create an organization that attracts those people. And, to be honest with you, if and when an organization decides to go down this path, that when people change or go in a different direction, there will be turnover, because the old guard may not necessarily agree with the new leadership or the new path or the new approach to the organization. And that's okay. So how do you do that? I think you just need to get a lot of the right people in the right seat to be able to, and you have to get a lot of buy-in. And to do that, again, it goes back to relationships, goes back to sharing the long-term picture, why this is going to help us, and then supporting everybody through that transition, because it's not easy. It's scary to do something new and not know how the result is going to be. But that leads to growth, and that leads to becoming better, and that leads to better quality.
These are good points. And I think you part of what I'm hearing you say is you have to be able to not hold things precious, whatever that is, a tradition or a way of doing things or a way that you were taught or a way that you thought it should have been done or the way that you saw. You're in a family business. Maybe you saw generationally how it was done, but you have to be willing to say there's a different way or a better way, and then let go of people who can't support that or grow through that. And that can be really challenging. We can resist that level of change or hope for people to change. As you pointed out, we have to surround ourselves with people who are like-minded in this way, but it's really easy to hope that the people who aren't can somehow come aboard with us or change or shift. Do you find that resistance, for me, that builds those barriers that we talked about in our last episode,
I mean, the resistance can be there, but the barrier is temporary because as soon as they make a decision that this is not a good fit for us, and that decision is made then. So the barrier is eliminated.
Jay Patel is the CEO at Amtech. And as always, Jay, I just enjoy uncovering this stuff with you. Thank you for sharing it with us and your path, the path that you're on with it. Looking forward to our next conversation.
Thanks for joining us, and a special thanks to our subscribers and followers. Consider becoming one today wherever you get your podcasts or on YouTube. Hardware is Forever is designed, tested, engineered, and built by the manufacturing experts at Amtech. Learn more and let us help you envision your next project with a free Design for Manufacturing assessment at buildamtech.com/DFM.